Hey everyone, and welcome back to the rundown for I'm gonna call this the Gorilla Edition stream because there's no rhyme or reason for when I go live or anything like that. Um, I haven't even figured out how to announce these yet. I think I just figured out scheduling, and how to link this to my YouTube account. So we'll see. It'll improve as things go. So yeah, first of all, happy Super Bowl Sunday to all of you sports fans. Sure, we all watched the shellacking the Kansas City Chiefs just got. Um, yeah, no, an exciting day. Crazy a little bit here in the East Coast. We had a nice little ice storm, so I spent the morning pretty much just shoveling. So yeah, it is what it is, right? That's life. But there are a couple of good things to go over, right? And I started a little earlier than I had wanted to, just because um, this could be that dumb idea, where it's like I'm a little rested from the weekend, a little. When you have kids and everything, it's hard to say you're fully rested, but just rested enough to the point where I'm feeling pretty good about doing these late night streams, and then maybe I'll pay the price tomorrow when I have to go to work. But that is pretty much life, right? So um, let's see, what else can I tell you? That's it, right? And now, as far as announcements, we actually have more than I thought we were going to have to discuss. I will tell you right now that maybe I'm going to go into some unpopular opinions. Um, Hopefully, you don't get too angry at me for some of those, but yeah. So let's talk about it again. Congratulations to the Eagles. I thought they played an amazing game. Right, that is kind of the everything goes right, right? Everything these people train for, it just goes right and hits, and they did what they needed to do. So, with that said, let's just say a quick hi to Nefty. Nefty, my friend, welcome. Thanks for jumping on for a little bit. I know you're excited about the Eagles win right now. We were chatting a little bit during the game, and I know you were enjoying yourself to no end. So hopefully you had a great time. It was a great game. It was definitely a great game to watch. Um, we were the messages every time I got a message from Nefty. I was watching on Fox, and there was a slight delay. So I started not checking the messages because I knew Nefty knew ahead of time. But every time I got something, I knew something was coming because Nefty was excited, and it was usually like a sack, an interception, some kind of turnover. So great game. I think well worth it. And again, congratulations to the Eagles. I think they played a phenomenal game. So with that said, it's late. I don't want to keep anybody too late or myself up too late. So what do we have to discuss? I think there's a lot actually. And I'm going to start with some of the big ones, right, from Hot Toys, because let's be honest. I thought we had a week of no announcements, and who knows, maybe in the time that I'm on, we'll get another announcement from Hot Toys. But I pretty much thought with Chinese New Year, we were going to get about a week off, which we knew, and then it was going to be slow going, and we were going to kind of have to wait a little bit um, for things to kind of start at that point. But they didn't, and Hot Toys came out of the gate basically swinging, like no lie. They dropped five announcements back to back. We're not going to cover all of them because they've got those common rider guys. I know nothing about that. um, Look, big respect to Hot Toys for branching out and doing different things. I appreciate it when Hot Toys does that. We've been in this Marvel, DC, and Star Wars thing with them for the longest time, so it just feels like it's nice to see them go to different licenses, right? To see them go into Alien Romulus, Prey, go back to Terminator. And now they're doing Common Riders. They're doing what Arcane, right? League of Legends. So I appreciate that they're basically getting all of that done at this point, and branching out. So while Common Riders is not for me, and I really don't even like the design of the figures. Granted, I don't think that's Hot Toys' fault. I think that's more it's just an older property, so the designs were a little antiquated. Even the bikes that they come with, they just look a little cheesy, right? I thought the bike that came with the more modern Common Riders was probably a little more fun and had a lot more details, but it was modern, right? So that made sense to me. But there were a couple announcements, and listen, I'm going to start with the ones that were pretty excited for me as well. So let's start with, let's see which one. And again, I'm going to try not to get into the controversial things too much off the bat. But you know what? We're going to start with this guy, Blade himself, right? Blade. What can I say about Blade? Look, I know this is old man Blade, so I'm not, I'm not going to be here telling you, oh, it's not, it's the Blade that we all kind of grew up with, because it's not, right? This is an older Blade. And frankly, I'm used to Blade with the trench coat, right? The way he looked in Blade 1, where everything just kept changing in terms was the vest, right? And he started getting a little more stylish with those, and then culminating with the third movie where the lining of the jacket was red, right? And I think he even had the red shirt underneath the vest. So it was always that kind of motif, right? I love those movies. The first two movies were amazing, and the importance of Blade to me is more that Blade is that character that was just iconic from the get-go, and Wesley Snipes portrayed him. I don't know who else could have done it, and I know that currently there's this talk about Mahershala Ali taking over the role. And look, no disrespect to Mahershala Ali, great actor, right? I thought he was the highlight in Luke Cage. If any of you watched Luke Cage season 1, where he was, I think he was Cottonmouth. He was excellent, right? He's an award-winning actor. It's a shame because he kind of, cashed in all that Academy Award, you know, a reputation he had to basically say, I want to be the next Blade. And here we are, what, 6 years later, and there's still no Blade. They keep on having to redo that thing. So uh Blade's quote in Deadpool and Wolverine is very appropriate. There may only just ever be one Blade at this point, right? Because I don't know if that Mahershala Ali movie is ever going to come. And then the other thing, and I think a lot of people credit the resurgence of the superhero movie to X-Men, right? The first X-Men movie. We were coming off those atrocious Batman movies. And look, I know they have their fans. I think the Val Kilmer Batman Forever was a little jarring coming off the 89 Keaton Batmans and Batman Returns, which were great movies, but very moody to that really bright Joel Schumacher world. So we were coming off Batman Forever, which I thought was okay, entertaining. Jim Carrey as the Riddler was great. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, a little hamming it up, but just a great performance overall. But then, everybody talks about X-Men, and I feel like everybody overlooks Blade. That original Blade movie, which came out first, I think was really what jump-started the comic book genre. And that's why I think Wesley Snipes is so iconic in the role, right? It was a movie that had great action, right? Leaning heavily into Wesley Snipes' martial arts background. A great storyline, very quick. Vampires, which is always cool. They did a great job with it, right? And that led to Guillermo del Toro's sequel, right? Blade 2, which is even better with the Reapers, with Nomak and all that. Blade 3, not the best. And of course, that's where the rift between Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds kind of came up. And there was always a story that they hated each other, which they do throw in a couple lines in the movie. But anyway, I don't mean to go on a sidebar with that, but there was just so much there with Blade that when he showed up in Deadpool and Wolverine, easily my favorite cameo, right? Even more so than Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, and I thought that was a great cameo. But of all the Rebellion members, Blade was the guy that stood out, right? Yes, he's an older Blade, but again, if you have that original figure from Hot Toys, the Blade 2 figure, which is phenomenal, right? This is another great evolution of the character to this older version. So, look, let's take a look. I think without fail, Hot Toys it killed it with this figure, right? And of all the ones they needed to get right, I think it was X-23 and I think it was Blade. And I'm happy to see that at least from the prototype versions, they knocked it out of the park. Now there is this first edition exclusive accessory, which is the sword that he doesn't use, and it does include the variable grip, right, with the security blades that pop out of the blade, out of the bottom of the handle. Now it's first edition, and I think if you look at what's going on with on Sideshow, this is kind of on a clock. So I think they're basically just saying if you order by this point in time, you're going to get the sword, and that's what this first edition means. I don't think it's anything beyond that. But looking at it, it's great to have that sword. I think that was one of the things that was missing a little bit, maybe from the movie, not seeing him with that. But it's a great addition. It's a great extra that definitely goes with him. The other thing with this is in the movie there were so many quick cuts. I feel like you never got to really appreciate the look, his new look, right? Yes, you could see that he was kind of all in black, but I didn't really get to appreciate the red highlights on the vest. So I think that's a must, and even these pleather panels, and that's the only thing that gives me a little pause. It's hopefully these aren't pleather, because then they're susceptible to we all know pleather rot at this point, but they might just be a different type of fabric. But it's a pretty nice sleek look, right? It's a little more, there's more to it than I originally anticipated and I originally thought from the movie. And I do like those highlights of red on the belt, on the chest, and just on the buckles for the vest. So that's good. Then you get this big bazooka, the missile launcher. Again, great scene, right? With that great line in the movie where he basically says there's only been one blade, there's ever only going to be one blade, which again, I think he might be right. You get these glaives, right? That he had from, these are classic blade weapons. And what I like is going forward, they give you two versions. They give you a bloodied up version and then a clean version. And then you've got this tactical gun, very unique looking. It's unique. I'm not sure exactly what it is, right? It's got the rails, it's got everything. I like it, but it's not that kind of standout modified gun he has in the first movie as well. So I like that. This look is actually kind of what sold me, because you've got him with the rocket launcher on his back, you've got him with the gun, and then the two glaives. That's just a badass look. I mean, that looks great. With the glasses, I mean, it's Blade, right? I don't know what else to tell you other than I think Hot Toys knocked it out of the park. And while he's an older version of the character, it's hard for me to find any faults with this, right? And wanting the members of the rebellion, this is a great looking figure. I do even like this machete. I thought it was, again, I like that you're getting the option to potentially get that sword earlier on, but if you don't get it, this machete is actually pretty good. And again, the bloodied version, very much leaning into that R rating, and I think that's great. Now, sculpt wise, it's Wesley Snipes, right? I like the white on the and gray on the goatee. And also the hint of white on the hair. So very cool. The detail on this sculpt is phenomenal, right? Like from the veins, all the wrinkles. Again, it's to be expected, but Hot Toys did a great job. There is this. This is surprising, but in a good way. This looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Having that huge effect piece with the rocket actually firing out with the splayed out fins. I thought at first that this was kind of just an image that had been doctored up by Hot Toys, but no, they are giving you this element. So I like that a lot, right? I think that is pretty incredible. It's gonna take up a ton of space, so listen, I'm going to take pictures with it. I don't know that I'm going to be able to display it, but I think that's a pretty cool shot at this point. But beyond that, right, he's got a lot of weapons. He's got a lot more than I thought he was going to come with. Now, when it comes to the sculpt itself, I mean, that's Wesley Snipes. I think the only gripe I have a little bit, and that stops me from giving this a perfect 10, I think there's something with the eyes. They look almost like he's squinting a little bit. He might have been from the movie, but that's it. And then once you put the sunglasses on, there's no denying who this is supposed to be. So with the sunglasses, I think it's a 10 sculpt. Without, probably a high 9 sculpt at that point. But this is an awesome figure, and again, just the amount of detail, right? Where you can have the machete on his back, the gun on the holster, the rocket launcher. You could have him holding so many things at this point. I think the amount of detail that you're getting and the amount of weaponry, and even the detail on the blade with the glyphs, that's a great detail on that machete. So really a much more loaded release than I thought it was going to be, because I really did think it was going to be a very simple figure. Now the figure itself, there's not much to it, right? It's the tactical vest, it's the pants, again, hopefully not pleather, but then it's just the accessories that really sell this. So great announcement to kind of kick off This one didn't kick off. No, this one did kick off. This was one of those first 5 announcements that came out. So this was a great one. So let me catch up with you guys. Nefty again here, still hanging out with me. I need more Magic Case. Nefty, the next couple weeks are going to be crazy for me. I've got Magic Cases they're in a corner. I've got an electrician ready to get in here to fix some stuff that I need. Now, I will tell you a little Magic Case story. So my shipment consisted of 16 packages that took over a year to get to me. And then I finally got the shipping notice, paid all of it, right? They were in California for a while. So I finally got them. I was at a work event. So my wife had the great fortune of being the one to have to carry all those things in. She carried the first bit, and then the second ones she just left them on the lawn because she was like, no, not doing it. And meanwhile, I'm looking at this on a camera, making sure nobody's gonna take my Magic Cases after such a long wait. But I finally got them, and then I'm counting, and it was supposed to be a shipment of 16. I only got 15. So I start checking the app, right, the UPS app for all the packages, and there's one that's not in the system. So I finally get into things, and I reach out to them, and they tell me there was a damage to one of my cases. So I ended up getting the silver and white because I just, I had to negotiate a little bit about how to display things as well and make things a little bit more appealing. So I think that's going to be nice. It's going to have the figures pop a little. But yeah, so there was a package missing. So I reached out to Magic Case, and they're basically trying to source another one for me. And my first question for them, and my only question was, look, that's fine. I appreciate that you didn't ship my Magic Case broken to me, that you realized it was damaged. But when am I going to get it? Because I waited a year and 2 months to get these. And, if I'm going to have to wait another 6 months, that's going to be ridiculous. So they said they were going to try to source it from one of the new shipments, and if not, they were going to fly it over to me. So I'm still pending on that, but I am going to start putting the cases together. So we'll see how that goes at this point. Now, so that's my little story over here. Thule, how's it going, man? Thank you for joining for a little bit. I saw you two in the chat when we were talking about the game. Let's see. Is Fabs here? So I am getting better at this. I just realized how I'm supposed to schedule this stuff because I was literally just clicking go live, right? And I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to schedule them. So I've got that. So hopefully the next one you'll have a little bit more warning on that. I'm a newbie, right? I'm an amateur. I'm not a professional YouTuber like everybody else. So I'm learning. I'm getting my my feet wet over here. Let's see. Wait, what bubble message? Oh, your bubble message? You can see your face right there. Why do you look so small? I don't know. Let's see if there's a different way I could do this. There you go. That's even better. There you go. See, I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. Let's see. What else do we got? Howard the Duck was the first Marvel movie that wasn't successful, but Blade was the first successful hero movie. You got to remember, we were coming off like a terrible number of movies at that point, right? It was the 2 Batman movies, right? Batman and Robin was an epic failure. I hated that movie, which is funny that I still want to buy the figure actually, all right? But I hated that movie with a passion. So that was just one of those things where that's when things kind of crashed and burned for me. But then you also have to remember what we were getting. I don't know if any of you remember Steel with Shaq, right? I still can't believe I watched. I think I went to the movies to watch that thing. So yeah, it was supposed to be John Henry Irons. I mean, it was supposed to be Steel, and it ended up being like a terrible movie. And I think I convinced myself for a little bit that I actually enjoyed it, but yeah. So we were coming off all those movies, all those horrible movies. So Blade was one of those that just really, really hit. So I have to appreciate that for what it was. Let's see, because he says the show is about the figures, not his mean mug. My mean mug? Oh man. I already told you what happened to the Maja cases. I did not send them back. I'm still waiting for my last one. Nefty's putting together some work, some good work with his what is that called? His 3D printer. I saw that. I'm expecting some good things for from Nefty. You know, Tuli, you're probably right. And again, I think just Blade without the glasses isn't Blade to me, right? I think the glasses go with him. So that's why it's one of those things that even though the eyes look a little bizarre to me, you're right, it's probably just age. But once you put the glasses on, this is Blade, so it's not going to be anything crazy. And yeah, he's old, but you know he still kicks ass, and he's still Blade, right? So I'm not going to be one of those guys that criticizes him too much for that, especially when he was the highlight of that movie, or one of the highlights of the movie, because Hugh Jackman, stole that show. Um, so yeah, that was Blade. Let's see what else I have for you. I'm getting there, man. I swear, I'm not a pro. Tuli's right. I'm not a pro like you. Um, oh wait, is Sean here? I didn't even see Sean. Oh, I saw him right there. Hey, Sean, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining a little bit. And then I saw Ernesto too. Look at this, Ernesto joining too. I appreciate that. So yeah, no, you guys are joining. I appreciate the support late. I'm trying not to keep you guys on too long at this point. Um, but yeah, so that's Blade. Look, I think it's a phenomenal figure. I think it's really it's really showing how Hot Toys just continues to improve with everything that they're doing at this point. This one is a highlight. I think the fact that Hot Toys is going so deep into Deadpool and Wolverine, right? So far in, no Diddy. That they're doing so much, so many figures from the line, I think is pretty indicative of or it pretty much goes hand in hand with how successful the movie was, right? We've seen them when movies are successful, they really, well, sometimes they'll go deep in the line. Other times they probably won't, right, at this point. So I think Thor: Love and Thunder is the one movie that I was surprised we got 4 figures from that movie, because that was the one that critics weren't crazy about, fans weren't crazy about. So TBD. But I think this is going to lead into a conversation about some of the trailers we got today too. But definitely exciting news here. So I'm going to stick with Marvel. Let's keep this going, right? So just very quickly, I'm going to touch on this guy because he's already waitlisted. The Iron Man Mark III golden color version, right? The gold chrome version. And I know that let's see, how do I close all check? There we go. Since Fabs was like, take the bubbles down. But the gold chrome version, I talked about this with Fabs on Tuesday too. So check out that stream. So I'll be very quick on this one. Look, not for me. I appreciate that Hot Toys is continuing with the variants at this point. The chrome looks great, but I think was it you, Tuli, that I was having this that I was agreeing with, or it was Rob Garcia, with that this looks like what is it, an Academy Award statue at this point. Look, nothing wrong with it. The Iron Man Mark III, Hot Toys engineered the shit out of that. I don't know if that's going to get me demonetized, but whatever. But they really engineered the hell out of this product. So the underlying figure is going to be great, right? The details, the accessories. It's just another color variant for me, and that's just not very appealing. I did. I'm going to say one thing here about this one though, and that's so. One of my oldest daughter, started kind of getting into movies, and she started looking at some of the Marvel movies. So we with the snow day and everything, we looked at we watched some of the trailers, and she did start with the Iron Man one, and then we were watching some clips, and there's that scene where Tony is in the first movie, where he's kind of done the flight with the Mark II, and then he's ready to go to the Mark III, and you see Jarvis kind of present him with the scheme, and it's all gold. It's the Mark III all gold, actually. And then he says, throw in a little hot rod red into that, and that's where we get the iconic Mark III at this point. But for a second, I thought about that when I was watching this with her, and I thought, if there was any justification uh, to own this color variant, it might almost be this is the version that he saw on screen with all gold, and maybe that's the collector in me that has some major problems when it comes to collecting and trying to justify getting some of these. So that's the one thing that I'm like, that kind of maybe justified it a little bit for me. But in this day and age, with how much everything is costing, this was an easier pass. And this one didn't sell out quick. It is now waitlisted on Sideshow, but it was one of those that just, I don't even think the queue is that crazy. I wasn't even able to hop on. And then I saw it, and it's just, there's so much else coming out at this point. And look, one of the other figures we're going to talk about next, it's already starting that craziness from Marvel that I was expecting with the Captain America movie, the new Cap. So for me, this was an easy pass. The color variants really have to be part of the movies at this point, or brand new characters to a point that, for me, right, and I'm just speaking for myself, that they really stand apart. But if you did get this, I would expect this to be a great figure from the engineering perspective, right? And if you are an Iron Man, hardcore Iron Man collector, what's not to like about this at this point. So let me catch up with you guys as well. Ernesto is already better. Ernesto, were you rooting for the Chiefs at this point? It's like, come on. Oh, no Diddy on the stream. No Diddy. Let's see what else am I missing. Thule, so you got this one. Look, there's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, I was almost trying to justify it for myself. And yeah, but it was this, it's a color variation, right? And it's the Mark III again. I'm just getting to the point where I just can't do that. Yeah, see, if you have the other versions, right? And I saw the videos that people were posting. Fabs posted his videos of the black and gold. That looks beautiful, right? So those are figures that just look, there's no denying these are going to stand out in anyone's collection, right? I think the chrome itself, that look, there's just something visually striking about those. So yeah, if you got these, I think these are going to be great pieces. So again, it's just me because I am unfortunately collecting way too much, and you might even argue that I'm collecting way too much junk. So I'll accept that kind of statement, but that's where some things have to get cut at this point. So the color variants on armored die-cast figures are probably the easiest ones to cut at this point, but nothing wrong with this. But now we're going to get into let's get into the surprise announcement, which was not surprise. We were expecting this, right? There was no way Hot Toys was not going to give us this figure. And I'm just checking really quick to see if Hot Toys dropped anything, because if they did, it'll be midnight. But look, Captain America from Captain America Brave New World, we knew this figure was coming, right? And I'm not expecting this to be the last figure from this movie. I think we're all expecting a Red Hulk. If Hot Toys doesn't do a Red Hulk, they're leaving money on the table, right? Everybody wants that. The movie could be junk. It could be trash. It could be the worst MCU movie we've gotten. People are going to want that Red Hulk. There's just no doubt about that, right? So that to me is 100% on its way. Just like this figure is not surprising to me that it's coming our way either, right? Beyond that is the question, because we have seen in the trailer that there is another version of the white suit where he also has a helmet, a white helmet, right? We've seen the costumes presented at conventions at this point. So will Hot Toys decide to do that figure as well, right? I think that's the question, partly, right? But for now, they're definitely doing just this figure. And then how deep will they go into the line, I think, is going to be determined by the success. Although I'm sure at this point they have a lot of things in the works. Captain America, Red Hulk, I think are definite. Another white version, Captain America. The only thing that gives me a little question mark about that one is that the first one is still available, and it didn't sell out. It's a great figure. That was my figure of the year last year when it came out. Just even if you didn't like the show, there is a presence to that Iron Man suit, right? That just really, really stands out. So for me, that was a must. And then, so the only other character I can imagine is Falcon, right? The new Falcon. I forget the guy's name, but that could be the other companion piece. But I think that'll depend on how well the movie does, right? We know, for example, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania ended up not doing great, and they teased Cassie Lang, and we ended up not getting her. So anything can happen with Hot Toys. But let's get into the figure. Look, the blue and red is a great color combo, right? The helmet I actually like a lot with that hose. It's very simple. It's not anything elaborate. It's not crazy, but I do like the helmet as well. And then you even have the kind of the zooming in. You've got that textured pattern. Uh, it just looks like Captain America, right? The white suit stands out, but this blue color combo just is very reminiscent of the Steve Rogers suits at this point, which is, I think, maybe one of the things they were going for. Look, the shield looks great. He's got Red Wing. I think the wings are pretty much identical to the ones we got with the other version. There's nothing in the pre-order that says these are re-engineered wings. Maybe color apps changed a little bit, but and I'm okay with that, because the original wings for that Captain America were incredible from a posability point of view compared to the first Falcon figures we had, which had very limited posability. These wings are just insane, right? So the amount of poses you can really attain with them are great. The only problem I had with them is they take up a lot of space, right? Unless you have them wrapped around his body, which we'll see in a couple of the shots. If you really have them splayed out, even if you have them kind of slightly articulated, they're a space hog. But they're just so amazing. So with this version of Captain America, I don't know if I could display him without those wings. But even without them, this suit looks great. It's very simple, right? It's not, there's not too much to it. Like, look, the details are a little ornate with the details on the shoulder and the chest armor, but it looks just classy. I think that's kind of the name for it. And even this is what I was telling you when I was talking about the wings being swept down, right? This is kind of a great look for him too, and I do like that. So maybe that's some way to display him that'll take up a little bit less space. But there's just something great to this, and I even like the sculpt, the head sculpt here. I mean, that looks like Anthony Mackie. He's even got the earpiece, right? That attention to detail is pretty much what we've come to expect from Hot Toys. Look, the figure looks great. Again, for me, this being my primary line, there was no way I was going to pass. So this is already pre-ordered, and it was eligible for the thank you coupon from Sideshow. So this is a great figure, and not surprising that we're getting it. I think with the helmet, it's hard to say because the helmet looks great, but the sculpt as well, especially with the goggles. Yeah, no, I'm not. No, this isn't going to be a figure to get two of. There's just no way. The space constraints, no way. But it is great, right? That helmet looks different too, even with the wings out. So there's something appealing about that as well. But that sculpt, Hot Toys really knocked it out of the park. And I thought the sculpt from the last Captain America was awesome. So Hot Toys just continues to improve right now. The rolling eyes look great. The detail on the skin texture looks fantastic. The wings are the same. Not heavy on the accessories, but you're paying for those wings, right? You're paying for the engineering of those wings. Again, even though you've already probably paid for it once, but it's a great release, honestly. Something that I was pretty excited about. So let's see. I think I'm still caught up with those. So yeah, let me just check really quickly to see if Hot Toys dropped anything. If not, it's going to be later in the week. But it looks like they're still asleep. They're giving us a little break. But yeah, Captain America, great figure. I've already heard a couple of things from the movie, people that have seen the movie that have been saying, the couple of people that I trust have said you can't tell it's been reshot, which is good, and it's probably an indication because they reshot the whole thing. So it's not like you had a certain portion of movie. From what you hear, this whole thing got reshot not once but twice at this point. So I'd rather that they did that instead of giving us some movie that just wasn't good. The other thing is, so what they told me was it's not top tier Marvel, right? It's not Winter Soldier, so don't go in expecting that, or Infinity War, but it's solid. It's very good. So listen, I'm as long as the movie's good, I think I'm going to be happy, and that's going to lead us into Thunderbolts and whatnot. So that's my hope, just to get a good, solid Captain America movie, especially since I think the goal is for this version of Captain America to be around for a little bit longer. He's going to show up in all the Avengers movies, so I really want Marvel to have a hit. Although this is going to be the controversial topic that I'm going to tell you guys about, which is, as we were watching those trailers with my daughter, I was looking through things and I'm like, and maybe it's Monday morning quarterbacking, or you can call it whatever. It's like, look, I'm distanced enough from the movies where I'm like, oh, I'm looking at them in a nicer view. But I don't think, and this is where you can hate me and you can totally disagree with me, I don't think Phase 4 and 5 were as bad as we thought they were. And you know what? I let me share something with you. And this is just gonna be a quick sidebar, because I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk about movies too much. But hold on, let me pull this up, because I was looking at this right before the stream. So yeah, these are the Phase 4 films. So right after Spider-Man Far From Home, right, which we all agreed were great. So this is from Wikipedia. Black Widow, I actually liked Black Widow a lot. I thought that was a really solid movie. Was it top tier Marvel? No. Was it the worst? Absolutely not. It was like middle Marvel for me. And then I know the biggest issue that a lot of people had was the Taskmaster reveal. I wasn't that crazy about the character ever, and I wasn't that familiar with it. So for me, that reveal didn't hit as hard. I get it, because we're going to talk about one of the shows too that did hit me hard because of how bad it was. But I thought Black Widow was good. Shang-Chi, that was awesome, right? I think that was pretty much universally liked. And I'll tell you what the other issue I had. Eternals, I watched Eternals again, and it's not as bad as I thought it was. It wasn't great. It's another one that's like middle tier. And maybe that's where things kind of hit, right? It was a little bit more mid-tier than anything else. But I thought the acting was pretty decent, pretty good story. It just wasn't really linked to anything that we'd seen before. And it's great that now the new Captain America movie is going to make reference to obviously the Celestial coming out of the ocean, because that was the big kind of point of this movie, right? You had a Celestial coming out of the ocean. You had a Celestial appearing to the entire world that somehow nobody else at Marvel, in the Marvel universe, has mentioned, right? That's where I think some of these phases started to fall apart. It's not that the movies weren't entertaining, at least, but with the MCU, there was this cohesion, right? One thing led to another. Characters were coming back. We go back to Shang-Chi. We haven't seen him again. And it's been now, when did this come out? 2021. So we're talking 4 years. He hasn't even made an appearance in an after credit scene at this point. For a character that was pretty well received, it's kind of messed up, right? Then we went to Spider-Man No Way Home. I think everybody loved this movie, right? So that was a huge hit. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I think I liked it a lot. I thought it was a great story between him and Wanda, and a great follow-up to WandaVision. I think it was a victim of people's expectations. When you call a movie The Multiverse of Madness and you're talking about all these different characters, I think there was an expectation we were going to see a lot more in terms of different characters pulled from other universes, X-Men and all this. And we ended up just getting a couple of quick cameos that went nowhere, right? So, but going back and watching it, again, a decent movie. Thor Love and Thunder is probably the only one I would agree was subpar. It was just not for me. Listen, it was entertaining and I got the figures, but it was the weakest of the bunch by far. And then you got Black Panther, which actually almost hit $1 billion, right? So this is one that handled probably Chadwick Boseman's passing as well as it could have. Had great acting from everybody on it. Introduced Namor, so it did pretty well. And then we got one figure from this. But again, when you look at that, out of these, Eternals and probably Thor Love and Thunder were the weakest. And Eternals was still pretty entertaining. But anyway, I'm not going to go that much farther into this. This is probably getting boring for everybody. So let me jump back into figures really quickly. So let me stop that. Let me go back into figures. But anyway, the point of that is, I think we're going to look back at the phases for Marvel and realize that the biggest issue they had was they weren't interconnecting the universes the way they were before. And that just feels us looking at each movie like, where is this going? So what I'm hoping that the new Captain America will do is kind of start tying some of those loose ends together, and I think we're going to get that with tying in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, tying in Eternals, so all of that. So I'm really, really kind of excited to see all of that. So let's see. Just let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next Hot Toys announcement, which is what was a little surprising, not going to lie, and it's a video clip. I think you guys have all seen this already. So Hot Toys announced they're getting the 007 license. How awesome is that? At this point, another unexpected license from them, and I'm just, let me pause this so that it's not just playing in the background. But this is where again, this whole concept of them going for things that nobody kind of expected is great, right? Hot Toys is killing it at this point. They're really killing it. They got a license that I know for a fact there were other companies looking at. And I think Big Chief Studios had this license for a little bit. I think they did some of the Sean Connery figures. So the question for me is just, where are they going with this, right? If they got the license for the entire catalog, well, then there's a lot, right? You're obviously going to go with your Daniel Craig, right? If you have the entire catalog, I think you're going to do every James Bond. You're going to do Daniel Craig. You're going to do Pierce Brosnan, just going back, right? And then in terms of popularity, it's Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, and he's in line with obviously Sean Connery, right? Those are the three ones that everybody kind of loves. Pierce Brosnan revived the series after it went kind of dead for a while. Although I did like Timothy Dalton's portrayal of Bond, a little more serious and whatnot. And I did like The Living Daylights. License to Kill was okay as well, but he just never got an opportunity, I think, to really show what he was able to do at this point, which is unfortunate. But I think that's the least that you can expect. Sean Connery, I think everybody would want that. Daniel Craig, we've gotten a ton of third-party Daniel Craigs, so I think it's time to get a really good one with a sculpt like Hot Toys can do. Pierce Brosnan revived the series after it went through kind of a bit of a revamp, and then you've got to do Roger Moore, even though he went the campy direction with the movies, right? Except for The Spy Who Loved Me, which was a little bit more serious, but he was doing Moonraker, movies I loved. I still love watching those, right? Octopussy, right? He had all those crazy ones. But I could definitely see them doing a Roger Moore. He was the longest tenured Batman, the longest tenured James Bond. And who can't like A View to a Kill, right? A View to a Kill. I think everybody hated that because James Bond, at that point, Roger Moore was old, right? He was really old. But Max Zorin, Mayday, right? Silicon Valley. So look, the James Bonds are givens. If you're going to go deep into this whole thing, then into this line, then you'd want to have all those kind of James Bonds in your collection. And then the question is just, where do you go from there? Do you do Bond girls? Do you do Bond villains? Look, some villains like Jaws are, iconic in their own, way. Odd Job from the Sean Connery movies. But then you go Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig had more serious villains in suits, right? Like Le Chiffre from Casino Royale. All right, what does he have? He's got the weird looking eye. Mads Mikkelsen, great portrayal, but what are you going to do? Then what else did he have? He had oh my, this is terrible that I'm forgetting the main bad guy, but Christoph Waltz, right, playing the head of Spectre, right? Again, a guy in a suit. So I just don't know that you're going to get those bad guys, right? Pierce Brosnan maybe had some more, like, if you wanted to get World Is Not Enough, you could get the guy in the exosuit from the final battle, maybe. But that's about it, right? So I'm just curious where this is going to go. I think the James Bonds are a given. It's very exciting for me as a big fan of the series growing up watching these. And then I'm just curious how far they're going to take this, right? Are we going to get some vehicles, right? I know Jazz Inc. has been dying to do these vehicles, but are we going to get some Hot Toys things now that they've got the license, right? So we don't have any news on this. It's just an announcement. So very, 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 very cool for me. So just to catch up really quickly with you, Jason's Electric. Jason, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream for a little bit. Thanks for joining us for a little. And then, yeah, Jaws. Jaws was a great one. You always had to take it there, man. You always got to take it to that extreme. No perverts in the stream, Fabs. No perverts in the stream. So look, after the James Bond, we'll go over the other ones pretty quickly. Like I said, it's going to be a relatively short stream, but I always got to talk about third party and other companies. And look, we're going to go into Soldier Story. Soldier Story, if you are a military fan, you know Soldier Story at this point. One of the best military companies in 6 scale. They went through a little bit of a revamping as well, that allowed other companies to kind of come in. The biggest one that's now a huge player when it comes to military 6 scale. I mean, you still have Soldier Story, you still have DID. Damn Toys is still doing their military, but the biggest one that kind of came in and has been kind of dropping release after release after release, and is definitely, I wouldn't say it's at the same caliber, but pretty decent for the price at least, is they do General's Armory, which did the Call of Duty figures. Easy and Simple. Easy and Simple has kind of stepped in to fill a gap. But look, let's go back to this, right? They're releasing another exosuit. So the Test 1, if anybody's seen this one, this has Tom Cruise kind of sculpt, and I think it was an attempt to create a version of the I forget which one it is. Live Die Repeat. It went through a bunch of different names, but the one where he's basically repeating the same day over and over, fighting aliens. Then they had this one, which is a little bit more colorful version, and now they've got this one, which is the Panda version. Look, detail wise on this, looks incredible. Shotgun with all the sights and the scopes. It's definitely Chinese for this one, so you've got the appropriate logos on the exosuit, right? The black does look pretty sleek, though. It looks pretty sexy. I do think the panda thing is an interesting motif. Not sure how serious to take it. There are light up features with this, but again, right, the detail on the weaponry is fantastic. It looks like the flashlight does light up. Again, if this is battery button cell powered, though, it's really going to be for pictures more than anything, right? You've got the light strobe on the back as well. And this helmet as a panda looks pretty good, right? So look, interesting figure. Just really quickly going into that one. The other reason I wanted to bring this up is, and just kind of to go, just kind of to go into tariffs a little bit, because we've all gotten the announcements now. This is a figure I probably would have picked up easily any other day, but we've got a ton of stuff coming out from Hot Toys. Right, Kit has already gone on to say that his prices are going to go up at least 10% for the U.S. market. Who else? I think if you follow Exo6 at all, Exo6 has already said they're going 10 to 12% over if you buy direct from them. So, look, this isn't going to be a political discussion on tariffs, but it's going to be more just a reality. The prices are going to increase for figures, and it's not to say this is critical, right? This is a hobby for us. Right, it's a hobby for me, it's a hobby for all of you, and for me it's just, all right, it means discretionary spending has to go down, and with Hot Toys having so many things coming out at this point and all these licensed figures, something's going to have to give, right? So it's going to be some of those Exo6 releases. It's going to be something like this Exo6, right? Or sorry, Soldier Story, because we're still going to want to collect. It just means we have to be a little bit more careful with our money. And also, with some of the shipping craziness right now, like Exo6 has a package of their Picards, I think, apparently stuck in customs, and Kit was talking about some shipping issues as well. So it's almost going to make it for me a little bit more palatable to buy from a U.S. supplier at this point, like Sideshow. Some of these figures aren't going to even make it to Sideshow, just to make sure that my money's well taken care of and I've got no issues. But yeah, look, it's a great looking figure. There's no denying that at all. Right, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Nefty. So this is Soldier Story. Soldier Story has keeps on doing these exo suit figures at this point. So yeah, pretty interesting. And that's it, right? There's really not much else to discuss. So I think we're gonna keep this one nice, short, and sweet. and then we'll go from there. So, and Nefty, I'm on a bunch of 6 scale military groups. I'll send you a couple of links on those as well, and we'll just go from there. But look, we'll keep this nice and simple. I think next week I'll go over some more Exo 6 products, and let's do one quick check just to see if Hot Toys dropped anything right now. Um, doesn't look like they did, but yeah, that's it. So again, a quick one today, guys. Thanks for those of you that joined, and yeah, we'll be in touch. Oh, as far as what's coming to the channel, got another couple of videos. I made a mistake last week. I had the third party Alice coming out, so that'll go out probably Tuesday. Then I've got the Limb Toys Nathan Drake, which is another great one, and then I've got the Lady Pool finally reviewed. So might be 3 reviews this week, but just stay tuned. All right, everybody. And again, thanks for joining, and we'll be in touch.